dirty, and I think many of us can appreciate that. So,
Thank you so much.
all right. So tell me about this topic: safe at home
Yes.
versus stuck at home.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be a wide range of people on either
Yes.
end of the spectrum. So let's talk about this.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So this whole idea is about framing and mindset, right? Um, I'm going to use a mommy analogy if I can. So just in case there's any unclear, anything that's not clear, I've never been, Alethea, a mom. So I'm going to take a stretch and try to make this analogy. But as I understand it, um, labor and delivery is a really tough process, right? For some folks, it's an easy breezy, very enjoyable experience. For other people, it can be one of the most taxing things that they have experienced. And so, because of that, a lot of times it's really easy, as I understand it, to focus on the pain. Right, it's really easy to focus on the challenge. It's really to focus on the intensity. But I remember I was sitting around and I heard this older woman say, I think I may have mentioned this last week when we talked, but it's one of my favorite things to bring up. She said that when you're new at being a mom, you focus on the pain. But after a while, after you go through it a little bit, you focus on the distance, the intervals between the pain, because you know new life is coming, right? So it's not that I'm not going through labor and delivery. I am, right? I'm literally having a birthing process. But if I frame it and I focus on what's the outcome of this, we're able to reconnect a lot better. We're able to enjoy an experience, or at the very least, we don't have to suffer. We don't have to suffer. So, a major part of this time that we're dealing with right now is looking at, are we stuck at home or are we safe at home? And then and something that kind of goes right alongside that is being socially distant, yes, but we're soulfully connected. And how do we stay soulfully, interpersonally connected when we can do some of the things that we used to always do? So just kind of exploring that with me and you and unpacking it and putting some stuff out there. And maybe that will spark in some of us ideas to go to share to increase how soulfully we connected we are, even though we're socially distant right now.
Wow, wow, socially connected, socially distant. So, all right, so we're talking about socially connected, socially distant. How do you, if let's say I'm not that woo woo type, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're saying, okay, we have to figure out how we can be soulfully connected. How? What are the steps to doing that? Is it only for those people who can meditate and sit still and reconnect and pray, etc.? How do you talk to someone who really can't find the silver lining in this?
Gotcha, gotcha. So, um, first of all, um, I heard this quote, and I'm gonna share this quote right now. And I was gonna try to figure out a way to write this on a shared whiteboard between us, but I'm just gonna just say it.
All right, go
Um,
for it.
so if you guys can visualize this word with me right now, the word illness, right? Okay. The quote said this: when you change I to we, even illness becomes wellness, right? And so simply changing what we focus on and how we view what's going on, you're able to tap into, once again, this synergy, right, that exists, this cohesiveness. It's kind of like being in a stadium, a concert, and
Right.
everybody is singing your favorite song with one of your favorite artists. The energy in that place, the feeling of that is so much more amplified than just being in my living room, which is great, in my car or in my shower, right? But when
Yeah.
it's like 3,000 of us and we all singing off key,
Yeah.
singing this favorite thing, this trying to be Beyonce or whatever, that feeling is, it's hard to even describe it, right? And
Right.
so it's come from that connectivity. Well, so soulfully connected, I don't really mean like soulfully connected like in a woo woo kind of sense. I mean between us emotionally, right? So how do we stay connected to each other? How do we stay connected to people even when we cannot physically be close? right? And so what are some ways to do that? Well, um, a lot of it definitely involves some of what you and I, Alethea, are doing right now, right? Taking advantage of technology.
Definitely.
And then also, so I told you guys I'm in Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is in the state of Maryland. And there's 50 states. Every state is doing this a little bit differently. Right now, as we speak today, the state of Georgia, the state of South Carolina, and another state, they're exploring ways of opening things back up, going through different stages and phases. So I'm going to speak from the perspective of a Marylander. And my offering is that when you are hearing this, anybody you're hearing this, take the meat, leave the bones, right? Take the part that you can apply, and the part that doesn't fit so well for whatever the reasons, we're just gonna let that part be, right? So again, we already know that we can leave and be out for food, for medical reasons, for essential reasons. And in Maryland, for exercise, right? So it's okay in Maryland to go for walks, right? It's okay to go to parks. We can't go to gyms. We can go to outdoor places. So that's okay. In Maryland, maybe true for you guys as well, it's also okay to transport someone to those things. So I may have a window in between Zoom meetings that I'm in all day, right? All day, all week. But I may have a 2.5 hour window that I can literally pre-set up that I'm gonna go pick up someone that I care about, that I know that I love. Maybe it's an older person in my community, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, whomever it is that may not have as much mobility as you do, as some of us do, and take them to get food, to go to the grocery store, to go to a medical appointment, to go to a park so they can crunch on some leaves or breathe some fresher air instead of being in that recirculated air that's indoors all the time. Because that leads to wellness, right? And the act of giving, I heard another quote, so hopefully I don't quote us out, Ms. Elethea, but I heard another quote that says, when we realize that the act of giving is the same as the act of receiving, humanity will thrive. I'm sorry, I had my alarm ringing just now. So the act of giving and the act of receiving is like a coin. You have heads and tails, right? And so the value is 25 cents, but it's wrapped in the same unit. It's the same coin. And so giving and receiving, when I'm doing these for others, it adds to me. I feel like I can say so much. I'm trying not to go for broke, but
right. I can imagine also though the impact that has on the brain. I was doing some research earlier, and we tend to think, you know what? Well, I have to give back. It's almost sometimes as if it's just the duty part of it, because I do feel like part to whom much is given, much is expected.
Yes.
But in my research, I also learned that they said the heart, the head, we can think of the head, but there's also some type of thinking that goes on in the heart.
Yeah.
And I would think that the head part is what I feel like I have to do, or it's my duty to do. But the heart, the impact that has on the heart of giving of yourself, of your time, something that's fairly intangible. It's intangible, but giving of that time, the impact that it does have, what it gives back to you. You may not be able to see it. You may not even recognize it right away.
Right.
But there is reward in that alone.
Absolutely. Denzel Washington said one of the most selfish things we can do in this world is do something for someone else, right? So I did a video a while ago, and the title of the video was, I know how to make you happy, but you already know this, right? Crazy title, but I'm going to share it real quick right now. So very simply, when we have things that we like in this world, favorite food, favorite restaurant, favorite movie, favorite song, we enjoy that, right? It's an internal thing. It brings us joy. But things that we like, song, artists, restaurant, whatever, we tell people about it. And then while they're eating it, while they're there, we're looking at them like, because We want them to feel that enjoyment. And when they do, that's not a sense of enjoyment. It's a happiness that happens, right? But it comes, it comes from giving. It comes from sharing what I already have. And I feel like do I have spinach in my teeth?
You don't. You don't.
Okay.
I would tell you.
You would let me know?
I would
Well, let me talk to the cute girl family. And
I would tell you.
okay, all right. But yeah, you know exactly what I mean, right? It's like, you got to try this drink, or you got to hear this song. And while they listen to the song, we just all in their face like, That's the happiness. But it comes from giving what I like. So it's not this, we got to change our frame. See, that's why we started with the whole safe at home versus stuck at home. Changing our frame is me giving is a sense of duty. What if me giving is sharing what I like so that it creates enjoyment in them and happiness for me, and we all win. And that's a major part of being soulfully connected during this time.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wellness versus illness. I'm still stuck on that. And then, so isolation, when it comes to, you have isolation here. And do you mean the way that, again, reframing the way that we see it in terms of isolation versus, I look at it, it's like, you know what this reminds me of with the mask? Because I had a few people, they were like, I don't want to wear that mask. And, you know, you still have the testing going on, whatever you may think, conspiracy theories, what have you. Instead of thinking of it in terms of you catching the virus, what if you flip it and think that there's a chance that you may have some illness and you're preventing yourself from spreading it to someone else? So so now you're being more proactive than also, so you're taking a lot of that power back.
Yes.
A lot, and I think when I look at isolation, I would love to know how you can go ahead and flip that for some people.
So isolation is a major it has major impact on the human psyche. And I just want to go ahead and give a caveat real quick. I talk a lot for a living, right? I'm on meetings and calls. I have 4 books. I have a lot going on. So my concern, Elethia, is that I'm going to share something with you and our family that I've already did. So if and when I do that, I will,
about the prison system?
Yes. So,
but go ahead, share it again. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's powerful. I love the correlation. Go ahead.
Okay, so isolation, right, is more serious than we think. And so there are people right now, I have a friend of mine that told me that his sister hasn't left her house in over a month. I don't know how this young lady is eating groceries. I don't know how that works. So a major part of what I have to do, and I help to oversee a group of folks that are considered essential employees. Okay. And so a lot of times I have to get out for them. I utilize some of the flexibility that we have in the state of Maryland to get food, to help others. I've taken groceries to older folks. So I wasn't just rattling off, you should go do this. I've done these things, right? I've helped take people out. So we have a lake in Baltimore called Lake Montebello, and you can park near there and just walk around. So I've helped people and I've done it for myself, right? I probably should have said that, right? I just wasn't rattling off a list. I literally practice these sort of ways of being still socially responsible during this time, but still being connected because I believe it's important. Isolation, when it's a major form of punishment. When little kids get in trouble, they get sent to timeout, right? You don't know how to act amongst the classroom or in the house or with your brothers and sisters and cousins, so you go be over there. You're grounded. You're on punishment. You're on restriction, right? So we separate. Yes. Well, that happens further, and I mentioned athletic teams and sports teams. So if you don't know how to participate, you have to ride the bench. You know, you can't get in the game. Elethia, you and I have a mutual friend, Mr. Mark Wiggins, the renowned, phenomenal Mark Wiggins, and his whole mission and message in life is to help people get off the bench and get into the game.
Yes.
That means participate.
Yes.
The opposite of that is isolation, right? You cannot participate. You cannot be in the game with everybody else. It's a punishment. Well, take it even further. Now you're an adult. You don't have the oversight of teachers or parents, but you're still acting crazy out here in this world. So what do? Once you become a threat to society, we separate you into some sort of incarceration, right? So now you're incarcerated. You can't participate. You can't act. Well, if you're in there and you don't know how to act in there, they throw you in a hole. Isolation. And there's a correlation between our sense of health and wellness and happiness and stability based on the number of quality relationships we have. So if I have 10 relationships, friends, cousins, besties, BFFs, you name it, romantic, whatever, and they are toxic, they are draining, there's a higher coincidence, statistically speaking, of illnesses, of disease, of aches, of pain, of early onset of diseases that would normally happen later in life due to the type of relationships I have. So it's not even just being connected, but being qualitatively so. And looking for people. So great idea. There's tons of people that listen and watch these videos. And just scrolling through the comments and figuring out these are like-minded folks. They're into the same stuff that I'm into. We all know Elethia, right? We all seen Big Head Rodney. And so there's something about what we think and who we are that already allows us to be on the same page, right? We already think kind of the same. And finding folks to be connected with, because if we simply go through life, whether it's COVID or not, protecting ourselves from relationships because we've been hurt, right? I can't trust no more. I can't let you in. I got to stay guarded. Anything that gets disconnected from the circle of life dies, sometimes slowly, but it dies. One of the most life-giving substances on our planet is water. And it's refreshing, and it goes through this whole cycle of rain and precipitation and all of that. And we put it in bottles so people can have access to it. But in doing that, we disconnect it from the cycle. And there's dates on water bottles, right? And that date says you have until this time. There's a countdown that has started. That if you don't get it by the life-giving aspect that this was born with, that this was created to be, don't exist no more, right? So it has to be, we got to stay connected to this vibe, to this life source, to each other in order to get the best out of the situation. And isolation is the opposite of that. And so many of us are dealing with this COVID experience, feeling the brunt of being socially isolated, not socially distant, but socially isolated, and it's causing problems. And so hopefully your video that you're sharing right now will give us permission on some ways to stay more connected.
Wow, and it sounds like soulfully we suffer.
Correct.
So, wow. But this is a way. This is definitely helping my connection. I'm telling you. All right. So ways to be socially responsible. So now we're saying, all right, connect with other people.
Yes.
Don't get comfortable in that isolation. Alone time, and we want to specify that alone time and needing that recovery is different from isolation.
Yes.
And that's like inflicted upon you.
Yes.
So we want to make that distinction. But now that we're saying, okay, go out, you see someone in the comments, and maybe you can connect and you have a conversation, or even reconnecting via Zoom with family members, etc. Positive people who fit you into your spirit, your soul as well. Now we're saying, okay, but here is some, or not but, in addition to that, how can we also be socially responsible?
Right. So you touched on this so beautifully just a little bit ago when you shared that if we flip the frame of how we think about the mask, for example, and this is not all about masks, but I'm just using this as an example, that perhaps I'm healthy and I'm drinking all my water and I'm jumping on my Zumba fitness workouts with Elethia later and earlier and tomorrow and yesterday.
I don't do Zumba though.
I can do it. I can do Zumba for us. But sometimes it could be that we're carrying, right, the same situation in a way that's healthy and fine for us, that's a burden for somebody else, right? So my kids asked me the other day, they asked me about discretion, PG-13 and viewer discretion advised. And it was like, well, Dad, what the heck is that word? And so The word discretion, I do this all the time, right? So discretion is, we can break it down into three parts, right? Discret, that CRET part in there, and the TION part, shun, right? So discretion. Well, the middle part of that word is the same root word as credit and credible, right? And credence. It all has to do with belief, like how you think or believe, like a creed falls into that same root word, right? Well, the TION, the shun part, is the process of. So by itself, it's the process of belief. Well, this is away from that. Somebody disrespects you, that's away from respect. They're giving you something that's not respect. Well, I may believe something, but I should have the consideration, right, to go through the mental process of separating what I believe versus how it may impact somebody else. Go through that process. Yeah, I believe that, but don't get stuck there. Yeah, I think this is good for me, but what about for them and their background and their own belief system and how well they can take it, right? And so discretion is, I ain't saying this is bad. I'm saying go through the process, be considerate, be connected enough that you can come out of yourself, put yourself in somebody else's shoes and figure out, how does me doing or not doing these things impact, right? And so being socially responsible in this sense is realizing that I may not care about the 6 feet, the distance, the can't go on this or that, but other folks might. Or it may be a problem if other people see me just kind of flippantly disregarding whatever it is. And I'm going to speak first person on this. I am a person, I am not often bothered by sensational news, right? So, particularly as it relates to this example, when I heard that this wave of things was hitting and we were going through all of these stringent measures, I looked it up. I looked up some information, and I was being too smart for my own good. And what I mean by that is the numbers of people that have been affected, have caught this particular virus, have respectfully passed on having this virus in their system, etc. Those numbers are drastically lower than the numbers that have died over the past several years annually, each year, not collectively, annually, of influenza, the regular flu. And so stuff like that makes me think like, I'm all right, we all right, you all right. And so other people may not vibe like that. That might not be good for other people. So I need to go through the process of separating my belief versus how it impacts others, so that I am being still responsible, watching how I go to the grocery store, watching what I touch, because people see us, and so if nobody else in the Q Girl Nation needs to hear that,
Right.
this guy needs to be reminded of making sure that I'm not letting my comfort level or my liberality negatively impact somebody else's experience. That's what being socially responsible is all about.
I agree. And how do you see that? Because in terms of the numbers that are out now, so they say the majority of people who are either affected or dying from this disease, not
Mm-hmm.
haven't made that delineation yet,
Yeah.
but they're African American. How much this is impacting our communities, and it, you know, you can say it stems from when the virus first, when we started hearing about it,
Yeah.
and there was a rumor going around that African Americans, we're protected from it, we're not susceptible to it, etc. And then you would go to certain parks and you would see, people
People.
playing basketball,
Right.
but I'm sure that wasn't only our communities, because I trained in different parks and I saw
Yeah.
people in different communities walking together,
Yeah.
and you had
Still being
Central
out.
Park incident, etc. So how does this serve us?
Yes.
Has that mindset, is that mindset the reason behind the numbers are being so high? I'm sure there are
Yeah.
many other factors that play a part, including access to healthcare.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it real.
That's a
But
major part.
what what message would you just have? Like if you were talking to Alethea from the Buchanan place in the Bronx, what
Nice.
message would you have for me in particular in terms of being social responsible? Or is it the
Gotcha.
same message for everyone?
Gotcha. Yeah, it's the same message for everyone, but it's also good to kind of tailor your recipe based on who's at the table, right? That's also being responsive to the folks that you're
Yeah.
serving. So, what I would say to any of us, right? Because I saw the videos of folks still playing basketball and still being out. Um, viruses are what they call communicable, right? Same root word as community or common. It means we all have it. A common pool, a common lingo, a common sense of identity is something that is a part of the community oneness. So a communicable disease literally means it's able for us to all have it, right? The crazy thing about viruses, first of all, there are no cures for any virus. We've all heard this. Think about it. The common cold stems from a virus, and how often over our decades, over our years, have we heard there's no cure for the common cold? There's no cure for the common cold. What's the cure for common cold? Stay home, chicken noodle soup, drink plenty of fluids, right? Because there's not a pill to take for the common cold. When folks get cold sores, that are triggered by stress, that's the result of a virus that's still in a person's system, right? So it's we're able to live with these things and share these things. The reality of that is what it is. We have to be able to take a step back and be like, you know what, y'all, whether or not it looks like so and so is sick or whatever, it's possible to still have it. We have white blood cells that fight foreign things in the body for a reason, because these things have been around. Coronavirus as a group of viruses has been around forever, right? There's some backs of Lysol cans and bleaches that list, among other things, coronavirus. So this didn't just spring up, it's been around. The problem this time is, just like the flu changes every year, this one has changed. We haven't really some of us haven't really appreciated how communicable it can be. And then when you look at death numbers, you mentioned me running for office and holding. I held office, guys, in Baltimore from 2010 to 2014. I was a state representative. I served on Central Committee for the 43rd Legislative District in Maryland, right? A part of that is looking at numbers and polling and all of that kind of stuff. And what I learned during that time, one of my people told me that numbers can be spun so they can be accurately, but I can say them in the way that communicates a different message using the same numbers. What do I mean by that? If I told you guys about Elethia, who we love, you know we love you, girl. If I told you guys that I didn't see Elethia steal the book from the store, that means somebody stole that book, but it wasn't Elethia. If I say, I didn't see Elethia steal the book from the store, that means she stole something. It wasn't a book. She stole something. I didn't see Elethia steal a book from the store. She stole a book. Elethia did it, and she stole a book. But I ain't say she got it from the store. She got it from your mama house, right? So you can communicate the same content with different emphasis and give a different message. One of the things that's going on, Fox News, just this within the past few days from here, just did a whole segment about people that are dying from what's called comorbidities with the virus, with the coronavirus. What that literally means is I have heart disease, emphysema, bad kidney, high blood pressure, diabetes, pneumonia, whatever it is. But when they tested me after I died, autopsy, or during my stay in the ICU or in hospice or whatever it was, I also had the virus present. And so what's being communicated is anybody that's dying with the virus present, they're calling it a COVID death. Well, we already have higher numbers of African Americans that are dying from high blood pressure, diabetes, lack of access to healthcare, and all of that stuff. And if I've communicably transmitted the disease, the virus, from me to you to us, and we die with that in our system, that's a COVID death. Does that mean that that virus went into a person and shut down a healthy person? perhaps, according to Fox News, of all of the people that have died from the coronavirus, on paper,
Right.
88% of them died from other stuff. 12% died of that part. 12% died from the coronavirus. But what's being communicated is Elethia stole that book, y'all, from that store. So how do we balance that? Like, how do I live in fear? Do I live in complete disregard? Do I feel like it's a plot against me as an African-American person? Do I realize that viruses are real, that people really get sick, and that there are healthy ways to keep each other safe? It takes a bit of introspection. It takes a bit of removing ourselves from what we think we know and looking at broader pictures. Yeah. And it also is healthy to realize that just because something looks like it's happening, that may not necessarily be what's going on. That could mean different strokes to different ones of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That alone is powerful. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Wow. My brain is like, like I was told that. Sorry. But no, I was listening from the head and also from the heart, you know. And social responsibility, it sounds like you're saying it comes from both places, but right. I also love the way you broke that information down, because a lot of us tend to look at that larger number, yeah, and just take the news for what it's worth and not think deeper or do additional research and really break those numbers down. So yeah.
That's what we're for, right? Each one teach one. Share what we got. Yes, we all eat.
Yes. It's so funny because I want to read you this real quickly.
Yes.
When I was looking at social responsibility, I'm just going to be totally honest with you. So I was looking at socially responsible in terms of online, like how can we be socially responsible? But the principles, and this is outlined by Mark Ribble, digital users on how to responsibly use technology. He said respect, educate, and protect. And based on what you just said, I think that can also transfer to offline. So
say those three again.
Respect, educate, and protect.
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Yep. So on that note, Rodney, you mentioned the 4 books, and I just want people to take that seriously in terms, you had offered them a discount last week. I'm not sure if you're still offering that same.
Let's do it.
Books. I'll put it out there, so right, it's like
let's do it.
Hold you to it. But the workbooks are really great because it's not just a book that you know, hold in your hand and you put away for a while. Yeah. It's something that you can pick up over and over again and tailor it to you based on the worksheets, etc. So that's a lot of fun. Yes. I love stuff like that. Like, it'd be a good book, but then I may forget about it. But I keep my journals. The things that I write in, I'm able to apply to my life. I keep those, and it's really like an opportunity to keep your own journal, build your own.
How about we send them one? Should we send them one, y'all? We should. They say yes. They say yes. So we're gonna send you.
Okay, I say yes too. Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I love you so much. This is so much fun. Later, guys, I have my class coming up at 6 p.m. That's a total body workout. And then we have Fierce Body Bar on Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. And that's for the glutes, which are really important because we're sitting a lot, you know, as we're around the house and driving, etc. And that's it. Did you have anything else you want to add?
I just think I need to tune into the glutes class. I think it's important for my health. Okay. For my health.
Well, you will get an invitation to that. You can, but stay happy, stay healthy, and if you got your workout in today, everyone, Funu, I hope you found you in your workout. It's Elethia and Rodney signing off.
Thank you, guys.